Well, hello everyone. Let me just see, go live. Oh, this one doesn't work. Okay, we're just going to go that. And we're live everywhere else. Okay, welcome everyone. I see people are showing up currently in all the groups here, so that's really nice of everybody to be here already waiting. So welcome. Today is Saturday, September 14th. And we're here for another teaching for Spirit Talker Tribe. I'm going to do a little smudge here in a little bit, but first I just want to say, thank you, because in the first week of signing up for Spirit Talker Tribe online course, in the last live session, I mentioned that there would be some people's names drawn, and we have one of these is not working. We're having trouble streaming to Facebook. Okay, well, hopefully it'll work out. If it doesn't, it's all good. But so I said for joining the live sessions, one of the things I do is give away some free gifts for just being here and present and taking in the teachings. And there was, many people that asked for a copy of Spirit Talker, the book, or many people put in their name for the T-shirt, the Oracle card decks, Wisdom of the Elders, my book, Spirit Talker, and my new book that is coming out October 21st, which is called Walking with Your Spirit Totem Animals. And I'm going to do a big teaching on that with our angels and guides at a later time. I think it's September 21st, if I'm not mistaken. That's when we'll be doing, not September 21st. It's around that time anyway, when my next teaching session is in regard to all that. But maybe people don't know, if you pre-order Walking with Your Spirit Totem Animals on Amazon or wherever, if you go to my website, shawn-leonard.com, and you scroll down on my page, you'll see Walking with Your Spirit Totem Animals book. And you can pre-order it right now, actually. And if you pre-order it and enter your order number on my website, then you get you get an extra special free teaching that I will do on October 23rd. But you also get a meditation that I've recorded and a special, set your intention prayer for free for just pre-ordering the book. And you can do that on my website. But and you got lots of time, so there's no panic. It's coming out October 21st. But if you're thinking about pre-ordering Walking with Your Spirit Totem Animals, that's a good place. But let's talk about tonight. Tonight we're here to discuss Spirit Talker Tribe and the launch. And tonight's teachings particularly are in reference to speaking, ceremonial words, meditation, and then your chakras and auras. Now these are massive topics that I cover in the Spirit Talker Tribe teachings. I'm just going to touch on these a little bit tonight and give you some sense of what it is that I teach in regards to Spirit Talker Tribe course, and give you some insight and help as well to understanding these things a little bit greater. But let me first announce the winners from last week that have won those gifts that I was started with. So there was 4 winners from last week, and just so you know, this week too, there's going to be some winners this week too as well. So when you enter your name into everything online in regards to let's say the T-shirt, Spirit Talker Tribe T-shirt, Spirit Talker the book, Wisdom Oracle card deck, or Walking with Your Spirit Totem Animals, which will be pre-ordered. I'll pre-order it for you. But so everybody can say, hey, I'd like to have a T-shirt, I'd like to have a Wisdom Oracle card deck, or I'd like to have a Spirit Talker Tribe T-shirt, which looks like this. And some people did win stuff like that last week. And I'm going to note. So this is like a Spirit Talker Tribe T-shirt. So just so you know. And last week's winners, the first winner was Jen K 4602, which she had been on YouTube and made a comment and said that she would like to have a Spirit Talker Tribe T-shirt. So congratulations, Jen K 4602. Now in the Facebook Live in the group, it was Cindy Gates D who said, I'd like to have a Spirit Talker book. So congratulations to Cindy Gates D. And then Tammy Gallant won Wisdom of the Elders Oracle cards, as she posted in Facebook as well. Now, there was another person from YouTube that made a comment and said, which, I've sent messages to them on YouTube, so I don't know if they got them yet. They haven't responded yet. But Dawn 2370. Congratulations, you won you've won a pre-order to my book, Walking with Your Spirit Totem Animals, which will be arriving on or near or just very near October 21st when it comes out. But let's talk about tonight's teachings. And tonight's teachings, I want to start in a very particular way for a reason and intention. Now, I don't know maybe you don't know me. I'm a Mi'kmaq spirit talker. My name is White Eagle Spirit Talker, my indigenous name. And so part of my culture and who I am is going to be kind of infused in my teachings and what I do. So I have a smudge bowl here, and I have some medicines, which I are my particular, in Mi'kmaq, we call them kaniknik, which means there's a mixture of medicines that I've put in my smudge bowl that I'm going to use, which includes some sweetgrass and sage and some other things. But I'm just going to light a little smudge for us today to set the intention and to kind of like say a prayer. Because, when you smudge and use smoke in ceremony, it is an extension of your prayers. So when you speak or pray into just like holy water, when you speak or pray into water, and that's why holy water has important medicine in relation to churches and Catholicism and things like that. It's also important to Indigenous people and many women in Indigenous culture, because typically in Indigenous culture, water is a woman's medicine, and so when it's something that they would use predominantly, and I've been part of ceremonies where water's been used, and I've rowed canoes on Spirit Talker. So let me just do this first. I'll take my watch off, take my glasses off, and I'm just going to kind of cleanse my body, cleanse my spirit, my aura, Creator, help me to know good things in life today, to give me the wisdom so that I may share it with the people that are here for us today, that may things be infused and come through and given to the people that are here that need to learn certain things. Help me to hear from Spirit. If there's any messages that need to come through audibly that I can share in a good way, please allow that to come through. Help me to see things from Spirit. Help me to clairvoyantly get impressions, if need be, to give me guidance through clairvoyance. Creator, help me to feel good things in life and clear my heart. May I come from my heart center with all my teachings. And I offer all this medicine to all the students and all the people that are here today. And as I waft this up, may you surround them with unconditional loving light. May you help and guide them in life. May their angels, their guides, their ancestors walk with them every day and be very abundantly apparent that they are there. And so may you help them see all the people that are with them and helping them every day along their journey. Walalio, Emsit Nogama. Thank you, everyone, all my relations. So I'm just going to put out the smudge because you don't use more than you need. I try to only, it gets pretty smoky if I could let it go. Normally, I only take out a little bit of medicine, just enough to do what it is that I need to do. I don't take out more than I need. You should only use what you need to use, and that's it, and nothing more. So mine was pretty much there. And there we go. So we did a smudge for everyone that is here today. So thank you and welcome for being here. There was something else here I want to show you. I don't know where it went. It just vanished. It was something really cool that I think you guys would think is awesome. But Spirit has a different thing in mind, because today I came down to my desk and there's a little white feather sitting on my desk. And for whatever reason, they must have felt like, oh, I found it. Just hold on. So here it is. So today, I came down to my desk to start the teachings for the evening and set up for the live session. And this was sitting right here on the middle of my desk. And I did not place it there. So Spirit placed it there. So I wanted to share it with you. And there's a whole story in my book. Maybe that's why. Okay, see, this is where Spirit guides us. And this is where I need to start. This is where I need to start this session. And I understand this now. I get it. See, Spirit works in really kind of cool, amazing ways. And I didn't think about this until now. And it's because Spirit is wanting me to guide you with this. And this is where we're going to start. And that's sometimes how our angels and guides work. That something will show up to trigger a thought, a memory, a teaching, etc. And the first thing we're going to tackle this evening is talking about prayer, ceremonial words. And, growing up and through my life, I've learned the importance of, how you speak, what you say, and how you say, and the energy from which you give it, the intellect and the emotion, the masculine and feminine, these things that come together are like hugely important. And I'm going to tell you a story about when I was in Hawaii. Now, there's many times in my life that this is kind of like, been exemplified to me in the most amazing ways, is because when you do speak and you do light some medicine or offer medicine, and because, when we, in Indigenous culture, we always incorporate medicines typically in our ceremonies, our prayers, our words, etc. And that could be, again, water, could be fire, could be smudge smoke, it could be other ceremonies. But it's important that we start to think about, and you start to think about, not we, but you think about, what type of ceremonies that you have in your life and how you approach spirit in the ways that you do. And I think if we set intentions in a good way, you may be surprised when you do it in a ceremonial way that you may feel like, or you may see that you're being heard even more. And this was a good example of this feather that was placed on my desk today. And a feather a little bit smaller than this, so probably about this big, in Hawaii, on the Big Island of Hawaii, way back when. Me and my wife, Michelle, went to the Big Island on vacation. And, my grandmom had passed away, who I love very much. This is her right here, my Mi'kmaq grandmom, Margaret. And I always keep this on my desk and talk to her sometimes. But when I was in Hawaii, I thought it'd be really good because I was going through some stuff too. So I went on the top of, I think it's Hakalea. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but the big volcano on the Big Island there. And it's the highest spot. And so I went to there and I got up there for, the sunrise. I wanted to be there for the sun rising in the morning, and I wanted to face in the eastern direction. And I brought some medicine, which was tobacco in my culture. And I stood up on the hilltop or the mountaintop, and I spoke to my ancestors. I spoke to my grandmom, my grandfather, my father, my stepfather, my uncles in spirit world, my great-grandparents in the spirit world, my angels, my guides, and all of my ancestors. I called upon them. I called upon them to be with me. And I said, I'm having such an amazing time. And this, and I could use your help in life to kind of sort things out in this way or that way. But really what I'm doing is I'm inviting you here to be with me on this vacation, because I want to include you in my life. I want you to be part of my life. And I want you to know that you're welcome. And so on my trip to Hawaii for the next 2 weeks, I want you to know that you're absolutely welcome to spend time with me and my family as we're here. And so I said these words from my heart. I held the tobacco over my heart, and it could be any medicine. It could be a crystal. It could be anything that you hold sacred or dear in spiritual matters. And then you speak your words of intentions into it. And because we as Indigenous people believe and understand things to be reciprocal, we leave that as an offering in the location. So I left my medicine there. And then we drove down to our condo, which is right on the ocean. It was amazing because we did what we did every day. We got up. It was like, we get up like 6:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, watch the sunrise. And just, the Hawaiian sunrises, overlooking the ocean are just amazing. And we'd always have coffee, and then we go for a walk after some time. So we were sitting on our third floor balcony of our Airbnb condo from which we rented, and just enjoying the morning, having coffee. And there's a gentle breeze. There's always a gentle breeze in Hawaii. And, what I did notice when we were sitting there off in the middle, because there was another condo on the other side of us, and they were kind of like shaped like a V sort of. And anyway, a little feather, even though there's a breeze, maybe about 25, 30 feet out, was floating down from the sky. And this little feather was just gently drifting down. And I'm looking at this little feather floating down from the sky that seemed to appear from nowhere. And Michelle was like, "Do you see that feather?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do see it." And she goes, "What do you think that means? Like, shouldn't that be blowing away?" And I'm like, "Yes, there's a breeze. I don't know why that feather's not blowing away." And as that feather floated down past the balcony where the railing is, it floated past. I heard a voice in my mind that said, "Shawn, hold out your hand." So I stood there, and not stood there, I sat there beside the balcony, still not knowing really why I was meant to do this, but I held out my hand. Even though the wind is blowing and this feather had drifted down past the balcony railing, that feather started to float back up. And it floated right up into the air, above the railing again, and then floated 90 degrees directly towards me. And from like 30 feet out, when the wind's blowing and this thing's not moving, it literally landed right in the palm of my hand. And I'm looking at Michelle, and she's looking at me, and we both just cried. We just both cried because it was a moment that I'll never forget. And hence why on the front of Spirit Talker, I put a white feather. It wasn't that big. It was like literally this big, tiny, tiny feather. And I was just blown away. And she goes, well, who do you think this was? Or what do you feel like this meant? And I said to her that, well, it was my ceremony. It was my words. I invited my loved ones to spend time with this on the big island of Hawaii. And then I let them know during my ceremony yesterday, that they were welcome to be with us. And I feel like they were kind of validating that they were with me. Did I know they were going to do this? No. Did I desire that they should do something like this for me? No, not at all. Because that's not the purpose or intention. The intention is to just include them. And I think let me try this. And I think, hello, everybody on Facebook, Ann Rogers. I see Carrie Ant and Louise Ayelet, Maxine Studley, Chantel Nell Levesque, and a bunch of other people. And for whatever reason, my comments aren't showing up. Oh, now they're showing up. I see on YouTube, the Maritimes Mystic. Hi, Maritimes Mystic. Nice to see you, Lynn, Melody Joy, Barra Life, and Have Fun. I see you all in here. And some people, Ashley, Christelle Diago, Tracy Hopkins. So there's a lot of people here in different formats. But it was just amazing. And why I'm telling you this story is, one, because the Spirit reminded me, I'm here to talk about prayer. I'm here to talk about ceremony. And I think we overthink things sometimes, like it has to be very complex or something. But it's your intention. And it's inclusion of your ancestors, your guides, your loved ones, the people that are with you and around you. And when you include them, they will let you know that they are there. It's not magic, because we are all spirit having a human experience, and we're all connected. And when you know that, and you know that to the depth of your heart, and there's no doubt, it's like magic happens, miracles happen. Not because you need it, or that you have to call upon something like special like that to happen, but they will happen from time to time. And you'll know that your words are being heard. You know that people are hearing you. You'll know that your ancestors are with you and walking with you. And with that thought and that understanding, it's like amazingly powerful to shift and change your life, and the way you see things, the way you approach life, the way that you include and again, not just walking with your spiritual animals, but walking with your guides, your angels, and your ancestors, because they are there and they want you to know they're walking with you, especially during the times that you're going through stuff. And maybe that you're struggling with a relationship issue, or maybe you're struggling with a job, or whatever it is that you need help with. Think about this. I want you to think about this. Go to a place that is sacred to you. And I prefer being outdoors. I prefer going to a space outside somewhere in the forest, the woods, or what have you. And I bring my medicines, and, it's just me and nature and the Creator, all of my relations that I'm surrounded by. And I typically in Indigenous culture, we face the eastern direction where that first sacred light comes. And then just speak something from your heart. Say it intelligently, but speak it from your heart. And just ask them, in the most amazing way, however they see that they can help you or guide you or give you direction, then just see how it unfolds in your life. And then when something does, all these synchronicities, alignments started happening, then there won't be doubt. There won't be this feeling, I feel disconnected. There will be connection and knowing that life is a ceremony. The way you approach it, the way you approach people, the way you move through life is a prayer. So that's the first teaching I wanted to share tonight. And again, the first whole module of Spirit Talker Tribe is based upon this teaching. And it's about helping you to kind of develop a ceremony, learn about other people's prayers, like different people that have prayed. But the most important words that you need to speak are the ones that are inside you from your heart. And you could read like Joshua's prayer or the prayer of St. Francis, or you could even read prayers I wrote. And those might resonate with you. But don't ever discount the words that you have, that you need to speak. Not with fear, not with anxiety, not with stress, but with a knowing that you two are connected. And just see how that kind of unfolds for you in life. Now, this next part of the teaching for this evening is about, because I mean, if when we call upon, now part of doing, being a spirit talker, psychic medium, or somebody who guides people or gives people direction in life is, and many elders have told me this in kind of a funny way. They say, well, you have 2 ears to listen and 1 mouth to speak. So use this twice as much, which is great wisdom to have, because meditation is literally like, and there's different types of meditation. But for the work that I teach about in this course, there's an aspect of presence and mindfulness and stillness and creating a stillness within you, because I think that we need that many times, where we forget that, in order to hear, to listen, to receive, we have to create space. We have to learn to create small moments of space within ourselves. And I think with this misconception of meditation is that you have to be like, chanting on a mountaintop for like 40 minutes straight without breaking a thought. And some people that may resonate with you, but that's not part of my teachings. My teachings are to create small moments of space. And through different types of meditation that I teach through the course of the year, and I even teach people how to even take objects, like let's say this heart, right? Just taking an object and visualizing it, and just being mindful and still with this object only, and holding the image, whether your eyes are open. And there's different types of meditation to kind of like reactivate this kind of visual cortex of your mind. So see it and be mindful, but just being present, looking at the object alone. And it could be a candle, it could be your smudge bowl, it could be a crystal, it could be anything that you choose. But then there's another aspect of this teaching that I teach in regard to, in Spirit Talker, is then to close your eyes and hold the image within your mind. And a lot of people struggle with this. And as you develop and grow, it becomes easier. And you have to start somewhere. And I think everybody thinks that you have to like run 1,000,000 miles right away. Really, no, it's just literally small steps of development that will help you grow, to develop your visual cortex of your mind. One, to create stillness, to hold presence in something. And when you practice with specific objects like that now, and you could do like a multitude of different experiences too. Now think about if I asked you to see a giraffe eating a leaf off a tall tree. In your mind, some people would see this and some people would struggle. They may have to look at a picture first and then close their eyes and reimagine the picture. And that's okay. Because I think what's important is not you get caught up in thinking how visually you are in your clairvoyant abilities, etc., or your image. And I don't even like to say it's imagination. I like to say it's imagination. It's an image that you've created in your mind. But what happens when you do enough work over time throughout the years, throughout time, and continually work at this, because it is a practice, and that's what Spirit Talker Tribe is. It's a practice for you to kind of develop and grow in your connection, and then learn ultimately, grow in your spirituality, grow in your connection, and then grow in your understanding of learning the divine language of spirit, which is like clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, claircognizance, and learning how spirit can communicate directly with and through you. And it absolutely is possible, because you are spirit. And I think the limiting beliefs that we have are they're yours. Literally, we can abolish or diminish those too, because they really have no power in you unless you give them power. And if you believe they do, then you're right, because that's what you believe. Shift your beliefs. Shift the way you see things in life. And shift thinking that you can't see. I can see. I do see. I will see. Daydream. That's a meditation. Daydream. Give yourself like maybe 3 minutes a day just to daydream. Give yourself 3 minutes just to kind of practice like sitting there staring at an object. Now, is there other sacred visualized meditations that you could do as well to kind of help you kind of grow and develop? Yes, and even make connections, which could include a spirit guide meditation, which I have, I think somewhere if you sign up for my email list, you get a spirit guide meditation for free. So that's a good reason to sign up for my email list, just to get the free spirit guide meditation. And if you pre-order the book, you can connect to your spirit totem animals for a free meditation if you enter your order number in, etc. But there is guided meditations to take you to a sacred space. And I think they're equally important. Because I think when you, and if you're not sure if you have a sacred space, then what brings you joy in life? It could be just at your home that you grew up in. It could be sitting under a tree that you loved playing at when you were young. It could be that you were at a particular beach somewhere in the world and you just were in Zen in that space. And it could be just a spot in the forest where you're for a walk and you sat by a stream. But whatever it is that you choose for your sacred space to kind of visualize and meditate, now you can use my meditations, other people's meditations to kind of help you to visually have an experience and make a connection. And at some point, you're going to develop and grow where you can automatically take your mind to a sacred space. Imagine that you're, and no offense to anyone that lives in New York, I love New York for different reasons, but imagine you're in the chaos of New York and there's honking horns and sirens going by, a lot of things that may distract you, just like life distractions. Could you find presence in these spaces? Could you take a moment, and even though you're physically in a space, but mentally and spiritually, could you be somewhere else for a moment? And when we start to do practices like this, then it just becomes more fluid and easier for you to kind of step out of the chaos of life and the situations that you may be like surrounded by for whatever reason. And there's, the anxiety, the stress, the worry, the things that you maybe sometimes carry in your backpack, that you can like take it off for a minute, take a little rest and not feel like you're carrying the weight of the world around. Take moments of disconnect from your thinking brain and create stillness and mindfulness in a space, a place, or with an object. And then when you concentrate on the object, and I say try changing different objects too, right? This will be a fun one. You guys like this one. This is another little crystal that my wife had given me, little alien, because so much I love alien stuff and all that. But so sometimes I'll just sit there and stare at it and be mindful. He's not giving me messages for God's sakes, but I need to create mindfulness, right? I need to create a space in my head to be still. And then maybe after staring at the crystal for a moment, I'll close my eyes and hold the image of the little alien head in my mind and hold it for maybe like 5 seconds. Because that's how I warm up my brain to see. I'm retraining my mind, because it's in many people, your mind is atrophied. And your ability to find stillness, because we've come from stillness and presence of the other side, but we kind of like been disconnected to it because of the human condition from which we all reside within. But we can always remember and reconnect to our spirit and who you are authentically. And I think when you start to, again, create space, hold objects, be still, because at some point, and I'll tell you about a ceremony that Mi'kmaq people had pre-contact, where we would create space to receive. And this would be elders or medicine men who would, through ceremony, right? Because that ceremony is important. It's setting a space and time to connect, right? And your practice, your spiritual practice is your ceremony, whatever that looks like. And I'm not saying you have to do it the Mi'kmaq way or anything like that. What you need to do is find ways that work for you. Pre-contact, even now we have the game. It's called Waltus. And it's a fun game. I have it up here. Let me just go get it. I'll be right back. See, it wasn't gone long. And this is something I'm going to show you. Now, this is the game of Waltus. And there's a purpose I'm showing you this, and there's a reason. It's something that my ancestors knew about presence and mindfulness and creating space and using things as ceremony. And it's a wooden bowl. It is a wooden bowl. And it has some dice in it, which I'll show you with some symbols. I think there's 6 of them. Yeah, there is. And there's some sticks. And we're not going to learn how to play the game, but I'm going to teach you something else. See, this is the bowl. It's a wooden bowl. And it had these pieces in it. And we play a game where we bounce them. And, and if you get them all up face down or face up, and usually play with another person, very hard to play, especially against somebody that's very good, like an elder. And I've never actually beaten an elder at this game because they're just so good at it. They're like, bam, 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 getting point after point after point, for God's sakes. But something that our ancestors did, they just moved the game pieces aside. This bowl, it's a sacred object, right? Solid maple bowl. They would fill this bowl with water. And they would take this bowl and fill it with water and leave it out in the moonlight for 4 nights, because this is part of their ceremony. This is part of our ceremony. And as they would leave it out in the moonlight, I'm sure there was a fast, during that time. I'm sure there was pipe ceremonies, maybe a sweat, leading up to the ceremony of this exercise. And the reason why they would do this, and whoever could see from the community after the 4 days of this sitting out in the moonlight with the water being held within it, the medicine person would sit with it and just gaze into the water mindfully, stillness within the water, not thinking about everything else that's going on in the world, but just creating space in their mind so that they could hear, that they could see, that they could feel, they could sense from spirit. Because it's important that in order to receive information from spirit, we have to learn to create stillness and space. There's an aspect of meditation where we train our mind to see things, to visually work on our visual cortex. But in order to receive things from spirit, we have to be able to listen. We got one mouth, 2 ears. And it's not just listening with your ears. Listening with your senses, your inner visual sight, your clairsentience, and I'll talk about your clairsentience here in a little bit, and your aura and your chakras, because you're an energy center. There's an energy of light within you that exists. So as they would create space and stare into the water and just being mindful and meditative over time, and they would smudge and there'd be ceremony, they would have visions about where they should go for their summer camp or their winter camp, or what medicine should be picked for a person. Or if somebody needed guidance in life, or a connection to an ancestor, or a message because they were hurting in grief, then they would be able to create space to make the connection, to receive some information, to give the guidance, to give the message to the person. And it's a huge part of, it's a module number 2 in Spirit Talker Tribe. And the reason is because, one, we need to have ceremony to include, to speak with, but then we need to create space to listen, to hear, to connect, to allow things to come to us so that we can receive and give people guidance life, and this becomes part of your being. You don't need the bowl. It's just a tool. And at some point, ceremony is, with Indigenous people, is an important part of life. It was a celebration of connection of who they are physically, but also through spirit and their ancestors. And, when you become more adept at being still and to listen, to receive information psychically, through clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, all this that come to you, then you'll be speaking with somebody in kind of a stillness and a mindful state, kind of like washing the dishes. You're there washing the dishes. You're not thinking about anything else. You're just mindfully washing the dishes, right? And then boom, you have some guidance of like how you need to talk to somebody about some situation that you've been kind of resisting. Or, that you should call somebody and you don't know why, and you call them and they were struggling. There's insight that comes to us, once we are able to kind of create space. And I think it's so important that we learn to create space. There's an aspect of meditation of training your mind through visual aspect and stillness and presence. And then there's a moment when you're to receive in meditation, to allow yourself to be still like the water in the bowl and be mindfully kind of there wherever you are. Now, I do this walking around on stage, and because I tour all over the place, and I'm doing sessions and readings on a stage, staring kind of at the floor. My eyes are open, or I don't want to trip off the stage or fall or trip over anything. So I have to kind of be mindfully present where I am, but still create space in my mind to receive messages that come through. And we have another module that, in the free teachings, we'll get more into stuff like that. But I just want to give you kind of a sense of why it's important to connect and receive things through meditation. And again, the meditation module is like module 2 in Spirit Talker Tribe. And it's something that I think that you guys you're gonna love. it's a good part of life. And between speaking the spirit and creating space and learning to train your mind, then you're raising in your spirituality, because an aspect of being more spiritual in a way, even just the way you approach life, helps you be more connected. Now, this next teaching I want to talk about is something that maybe you've heard of before and maybe never realized the importance of it. But it's about your chakras and your auras. Not auras, but your aura. And I got some pictures that I have here I'm going to post, for the YouTube people, and I'm going to have to hold up my iPad for some other people. But let me just take a picture here, media, right there. And there's an aspect. I'm just going to pop it up on the screen for you all and everybody who's out on Facebook watching me here. You're going to see it here. Let me just scroll it up there. So this is the picture that I'm sharing on YouTube through this. And I want you to kind of think about this, because, there's energy centers within us. And I didn't realize how important it was that I would be clear and balanced within myself, and also understand the energy from which that surrounds me. From when I'm making connections or helping or serving or guiding or being a teacher or a mentor or whatever, and being balanced in your energy centers and in your aura, and understanding the extension and de-extension of your aura is important, and understanding of when you can be open in relation to, like, going to the shopping mall at Walmart or something. And no offense to people at Walmart, I feel like probably the lights have a little bit to do with that. But sometimes I just feel like exhausted, because I'm like, my bubble of light is so big. When I'm around people, sometimes I feel drained when I leave. And so sometimes I have to be mindful of, like, kind of pulling my aura in closer to my body, still aligning my chakras and kind of lowering my energy. So that's something I teach in Spirit Talker Tribe. Now I'm going to show you a couple pictures. This one is for everybody on YouTube, so you'll see it there. And I'm going to go over to Facebook, and I'm going to show the same picture to everyone on Facebook here, because I can't pop up things. So this is me on stage at Spirit Talker Tribe Live this year. Oh, geez. And I don't know if you can see that, but there's a light kind of surrounding me while I do sessions on stage. And so when I'm on stage doing sessions, and this isn't just me, I'll show you another one here. I got another picture. This is a cool one, because I'm there with some of my students who are also the Triangles of Light, who also do sessions with me at my Spirit Talker Tribe Live gathering. So I'm going to bring it up here for everybody out on YouTube, and I'm going to bring it up here for everybody on Facebook, just on my iPad. You can see the light that's emanating kind of like from us, around us, beaming from us in a sense. Now, these pictures aren't altered. These are pictures that just people took. Now, we got a black background there, yes, but it kind of helps see the aura around people. And when you can see the aura, it's pretty cool. And sometimes it's hard to see unless the circumstances are right. And, when you get to actually see, an energy around a person, because when you're engaged in doing things in the work that you do, that's why way back in the day, you think about this. I think that's all I have on here for pictures. But way back in the day, that's why you see pictures of people with these halos around their head. Like very spiritual people, saints and people of the past. Why? Because they were connected. Whether it was like, different saints, but, in art and things like that, it would appear that you were able to kind of see the halo or aura. And that's what they would kind of like show people, is that they were enlightened. Because what is enlightenment? In a sense, it's like understanding the energy from which that the light, that you were actually created from light. We're all created from the dust of stars. You are actually star people. We're all star people. We're made from the star dust that has created the elements and the particles and everything that have come together to create Mother Earth, which is then kind of like, which we're very deeply connected to Mother Earth. We are the universe here, experiencing ourselves through this form. And it's impossible to think that you are less than the universe, because you are in it, you're part of it, you always will be. But guess what? And I know that you know this. You have consciousness, you have awareness, You have intelligence. You have a spirit. And, if it exists in you and you're made from the universe and the dust and light of stars, that means it's there. You can't be made of something that doesn't exist in the universe. It just doesn't show up in you and animals, but just cease to be everywhere else. That's a fallacy, like to think that way, that, that in indigenous culture, we see everything is having a spirit. That's why we say Em Sit Nogama, all my relations, because we honor and validate the connection to all things and the light in all things, the plant, the animal, the water, the grandfather, sun, grandmother, moon, mother earth, the heavens, the Milky Way, is because there's a connection of light in all things, and they're all our ancestors. And, we've shown up in this life to be this people we are, and we'll be people again, I'm sure, and maybe not even in this world. Maybe we'll show up in another one looking like this guy, who knows? But it's possible. I believe that's possible. And I don't think this is, we're always evolving and growing spiritually, but we are first and foremost light that have come into the physical reality. But your first beingness was the light itself, and you will always remain the light. So when this body, the shell, and that light that emanates from your shell, from your chakra centers, right? From all your chakra centers in your body to who you are now, emanates into your aura. And why is an understanding of your between your root, your sacral, your solar plexus, your heart, your third eye, and your crown chakra, when you align these in such a way, and your presence and mindful and walking through life in a good way, it has an emanation outside. And when people meet you, they'll go, oh my God, this person, I just love their vibe. I just love their energy. I just feel like I know them somehow. It's because there's an alignment. They see the alignment of connection with like-minded people. And that's why you're here. There's something that have brought you to Spirit Talker Tribe in these teachings, because you're aligning with these teachers, something within you that is resonating with this, so that you understand that, to know yourself in a much greater way and to be connected in a much greater way. And that's why we have the most amazing people in Spirit Talker Tribe, because we're all in alignment and support each other. And when we just had our Spirit Talker Tribe live gathering, and I'm sure you're seeing pictures from the emails and posts that I post on Facebook, etc. It's just amazing energy to be around so many great people and have things like that. So then, no matter who's standing on stage, if it's me or the Triangles of Light or some other people that are also have gone through my course and are doing sessions on stage, does it mean that you have to? No, but you can see that same light around them. It's because they've stepped into that kind of understanding of connection. They're opening their light and their energy to allow connection to come through them, to guide them, to give messages, etc. And it could be just for a friend or somebody that you need to give some direction or help with in life. It doesn't mean you have to be on stage and author or have a TV show like myself or anyone else. And there is no I'm not as good enough. That is silly. When I started this journey, I had doubt myself. And when I started to embrace it more, and I started speaking and realizing my words were heard, I started to meditate more and go down a spiritual journey and create space in my mind. And then I started to receive things. I started to receive insight. It was always to help or serve people in a good way. Did I ever see anything bad about people? Sometimes, because sometimes things bad do happen to people. And maybe you need to guide them with that or give them direction or give them some insight. Maybe it's about something they've been through. And that's why Spirit connects to people like us, is not to, pick sore spots for fun. It's about, I'm in service. How can you help, guide, direct, give peace, hope to people? And that's where I approach them. I approach from that unconditional loving space, because that's who I am authentically. And that's the source from which I come from. And I operate from that source only. And I know there's a lot of people out there come from fear or put a lot of fear around this stuff. Is there bad people in the world? Yeah. Do I walk around terrified? No, I do not. I am who I am going to be in life, and without fear. And is there a few kind of spirits hanging around sometimes that are not quite right? Yeah, for sure. Are they demons? No, they're just people, just shitty ones. Hopefully they'll get better over time. There's always hope for everyone, right? And maybe just your kindness, your light, your compassion, the way you move through life is a light, for the world. And we need more of that. We need this in the world today. If you want to change the world, it's something we got to kind of do together. And it's how we approach life. And then, the more people we approach, and you ever see that and this is where I like the chakra aura kind of like symbol is like, I'm sure you've seen this. There's a picture. I should have looked this up first, but there's a guy in a crowd and you can see this light around him. There's a bunch of shadow people, but then when they come close to this person, a few more people turn light. Next, the whole crowd is all light. Because, the way you approach life and show up, and the energy that you have within your body, your spirit, and how you shine out into the world has an effect on the world itself. And it starts with just your family, your friends, and, your neighborhood. And then maybe, as they shift and change and seeing this change within you, they're going to want to say, like, what are you doing? Like, how are you just so happy? Why is, despite this crap that's going on, that in your life, you seem kind of, happy and joyful despite what you've gone through. It's because you moved outside of the pain and suffering, because you chose to be mindful and present with life. And life is for the living. And we're meant to come here and live it to the fullest, even through the hardest times. That's why we've come here, to remember who we are, through all the kind of muddled darkness that exists within the world itself. And there's a lot that still exists in the world. And I'm hoping, in one of my past lives, I was a Cathar. And this is the same thinking that the Cathars had back in the 1200s in southern France and Italy, etc. And I lived a life, a previous lifetime at that, in that area. And I remember it very clearly and well. Maybe you're some of those same people and you've come back here to kind of like shift and change the world, because there was a whole prophecy around the Cathars. I think it was like 1321 or something like that. It was 1321. There was the last Cathar was unfortunately put to death. And he had a prophecy as he was burning on the stake. He said in 700 years, who we are and the teachings that we shared as Gnostics and would come back into the world more fully. And I feel like we're in that time. 2021 was that time. And I feel like beyond this time, it's going to kind of like grow and flourish. People are moving more away from going to churches and other things. And they're looking to become more spiritual and have a connection themselves. Because that's instead of like feeling like that you have to go to a priest or whatever. And I'm not here to be your priest. I'm here to help you find a light within yourself. Help you discover that you are to the same sacred light that we've all come from. And to be of service in the world in the most amazing ways if you choose to. So those are, some of the teachings that, like, I do a whole module on chakras and auras. And I'll tell you, when I really kind of discovered about my own energy center, because when you're mindful of who you are and how you move through life, you feel people's energy. And I think this is the thing. A lot of people feel people's energy and they feel, oh, I'm drained from their energy, or I don't want to feel their bad stuff. But if you only have compassion, kindness, and, love, for every person that you encounter in life, you can never feel that way. You can never feel like somebody's taken something from you, because it exists within you and it emanates from you unconditionally and unendlessly. It's not, it's not something that somebody drains your batteries and you can't refill them, because you can. And there's certain things you can to kind of like recharge too. But it's normal based on our food or diet or exercise or sleep patterns. There's lots of things that can make us feel drained. So living a good life to the best of our ability is really important. And I'll tell you about what way back when. And I'm wearing blue tonight. I don't know if you noticed. I got my blue background. I got my blue shirt on. I love the color blue, and it's because one of if you looked at the picture, which I'll pop up here, I think you probably all remember it, but you could probably maybe see a bit of bluish tinge into my aura there. And in my aura, I remember when I really discovered that my light was visible to some people was when I met my stepdad, Larry, in the hospital. And he was unfortunately just had brain surgery because of me discovering that he had a tumor in the back of his brain, which I saw a black shadow on the back of his head. And And there's a whole story of that, which is in Spirit Talker, and it's an amazing story, but also a very sad story in a sense. But Larry just had my stepfather just had surgery, and I was in the hospital, and I walked in, and everybody was there but me. But I came in at that time. I was still delivering the mail with Canada Post, and I came there after work, and he saw me, and he goes, "You're the blue man." And he didn't speak very good because he had brain surgery, and he kept pointing at the doctor, saying, to look at me, and he said, "I was blue." He's blue. And and they go, well, maybe the drugs are really affecting him, but I don't think so. I think maybe because, he just had massive surgery. He saw a light or an emanation of light around me that wasn't necessarily predominant around other people. Maybe because they're struggling or maybe because there's a lot of pain or suffering. But when it came to Larry, I had this kind of feeling of like, just sending him healing, just sending him love and just being kind to him, and just be gentle because of what he's just been through and give him time to rest, etc. But he saw a light that was there. And I do feel that there's a light that spirit sees and can identify people who are on a certain level of energy and know who to communicate with, who to come to. Because I don't walk around all over the, wherever going, hey, I'm psychic medium Shawn Leonard, wear the big S or wear my medallion that says psychic medium or spirit talker or anything like that. I don't do that. But spirits know they can come to me. How do they know they can come to me and talk to me? How do they know that I can be of service or help them? Spirit obviously communicates with each other. My angels and guides are working. And I remember, unfortunately, there's a story when I was on Big Ten Cook Island. And I went over there to visit a friend, and I was there with my ex-wife, and we went into this building, and there's a little girl working in a kiosk, and she was selling different things there. Now, sometimes I run into an earthbound spirit, right? And I walked into this like little fishing shack, and I heard somebody speaking, and almost like they were terrified of me. And I'm not scary in any means. I just walked in, and I heard this kind of earthbound spirit guy go, oh my God, he's going to know all my secrets. And I heard him run out the door and up the hill. And I told the lady that was working there, and she says, well, that's so strange that you say that. It really sounds like the guy that lived up on the hill up there. And unfortunately, he killed himself and his children like many years ago. I knew it was him. I heard him. Was I terrified of him? I didn't even know he was there, but he knew who I was. My energy walking into his space, he felt threatened by. Because he was an earthbound spirit who has done some things. Could have I helped him? Yes. Could I offer him some guidance? Yes. Could I lit some smudge and made an offering for him? Yes. I could have done ceremony for him to help him heal and maybe transcend and move and work through his karma through many other lifetimes because of what he's done and created for other people. We do have free will. Despite having life charts and plans, we still have free will. And people get off track, miss the mark. And that's why we have many lifetimes to kind of like figure it out and hopefully, find a way through it all. There's the chats. That's private chats up there. But so when you start to become more spiritual, more connected to your energy centers, to your chakras, and understand the energy from which surrounds you in your own aura, people will approach you differently. They'll feel your energy greater. It'll help you be a more empowered nurse, doctor, therapist, psychologist, energy Reiki healer, psychic reading person. It's learning to kind of like align your chakras and learning how to kind of like extend your aura, especially when you're doing work. And so it's something I teach in Spirit Talker Tribe. And that's a month's lesson in itself between the chakras and auras. And let's do an exercise. How about that? Everybody rub your hands. Just rub your hands. Just rub your hands like this. Yeah, indigo blue is third eye, Griselda. Yes. Hi, Jerry Levy and Indigo Child and Melody Joy, Ashley Elizabeth. Just rub your hands, okay? I want you to rub them in a circle if need be, okay? Now let's just stop. And doesn't mean you have to see yours. I want you to just put your hands this far apart. Just kind of move them a little bit closer and almost feel like they're being drawn together. Now push them, allow them to go back out. Feel the energy between your hands. Almost like you're holding an energetic ball of energy. Just feel it in your hands. Feel it there. It is there. It exists within you. It is there. And when you come in, you almost feel like it's being like a magnet pulling together a little bit. But then when you go out, there's almost like a space, and you can extend this. You can move the energy ball a little bit further away and out. And you can move it out, and you can kind of feel like the bounce, the spring between the hands of energy. Even if you can't see it, and it's hard to see sometimes, or unless the background is right. So thank you for doing that practice, that exercise very quickly. You may feel it. You may sense it. When you come up to a person in line, you can feel their energy. You can feel if they're having a good day, bad day, maybe struggling in some way. It's like that. It's within you. It's around you. And if you do this, like put your hands over a person, you could feel another person's aura. Rub your hands. Just try it with a loved one or family member. Just say, just let me just try this. Yeah, you'll feel tingling in your hands or things like that. Put your hands over their head and just kind of wrap around their aura and comb out their aura. You might be healing, you might not even know it. Just comb out a person's aura, smooth it out, because people have blockages sometimes because of energetic traumas or things that we buried. And there could be a blockage within our chakras as well, because of something that we've like energetically kind of like buried in our body and not really dealt with. So there's a real healing that can take place when you realize that you do maybe have a blockage somewhere of energy, and you work on releasing it, opening it, and then kind of like combing out your aura, right? Yeah, see, and then when you feel people, then you're going to feel, but also people will feel you. And this is the most important part. Spirit will see, feels like a balloon, Griselda said. Learn this way with Reiki, Janine. Yes, absolutely, because you're learning about energy. And this is about learning about energy because you are energy, and it's how you move through life. It's not just when you're in service. It's how you approach. Life is a prayer. How you approach life in a good way. Because this is about living life to the fullest. And being and understanding and knowing that you're the energetic being that you are, and that you're responsible for your energy. You're mindful for how you show up in the world. How you approach people, despite how they are. Because you can diffuse a situation, diffuse an argument, just the way you approach things energetically, with your words, your thoughts, your heart, your mind, your body, your chakras, your aura. Because you are that orb of light. When you feel that orb of light in your hands, that exists and is around you. We are all orbs of light, where that is our spirit. It's contained within our body, but it's also surrounding our whole body. Our aura and our spirit is much larger than our human physical form. And knowing that some people walk around kind of really close to the body and fearful and live in anxiety and stress and fear and worry for whatever reasons, But it's about shifting the way we see life and how we approach it, and letting go and surrendering the fear, and being able to engage people and engage life. So that's something I teach in Spirit Talker Tribe as well, for the teachings on a module. But I just wanted to make sure that I shared some of these teachings with you tonight. So if I was to leave you with some stuff, start speaking with spirit, speak from your heart, speak from your intellect and emotion, have some personal ceremonies that you can do. Start meditating, holding images, and, do some visualized meditations. Like I said, if you go to my website, if you enter your order code for Spirit Talker, there's a meditation, I think maybe in there, Spirit Guide meditation. If you buy Walking with your Spirit Totem Animals, which is, where is this now? Media Assets. This book I'll put up here. I don't have a book to show the Facebook people, but it's here. And if you pre-order that, you can immediately get a meditation to connect your Spirit Totem Animals as well on my website. But thank you for joining me this evening. And again, so tonight is the last night to join for the bonus session, just so you know. So tomorrow I'm taking a flight, so I won't be able to check it right away. But you might be able to get in under the line tomorrow before I actually do, inform whoever won the free bonus thing. Because the first week of signing up for Spirit Talker Tribe course, which again starts October 1st for the whole year, is on my website. You can go to my website and let me see, here it is. If you go to right here, ShawnLeonard.com, click on the Spirit Talker Tribe tab, and registration ends at midnight on the September 30th. But if you go to my website, look for the Spirit Talker Tribe. My website is shawn-leonard.com. If you sign up before tomorrow sometime, you're going to be still eligible for receiving in a draw for a free reading from me. And so I hope that you all think about joining Spirit Talker Tribe and joining the tribe of people that are all in alignment. And I've had people from years and years that are still in my tribe, and I love to see you in the tribe with us, and so we can continue this teachings. I mean, we'll still continue the teachings for the months of September, but I'd love to see you continue with all of us in the group. And you guys can't really hear me, can you? Very well there. Sorry, somebody says you can adjust your audio. Hopefully you can hear me better now, now that it's all over. But because my mic was a little bit off further than probably it should have been. But, if you think about joining Spirit Talker Tribe, that you can still be entered for the draw. There'll be a new bonus draw for the following next week. So if you enter in just in time for tomorrow, there'll be another bonus draw announced in another day or two. So you'll have another week and you'll have another chance at another bonus draw. Just so you know, I won't tell you what it is yet. I'll post it out tomorrow what the next bonus draw is for. But if you enter before tomorrow, or even tomorrow, because I'm going to be traveling, I won't be able to stop it. You'll be entered for winning a potential free reading with me. And I don't do many personal readings anymore. I do live audience readings. So I hope to see you in Spirit Talker Tribe. If not, we'll see you in more free teachings as we move forward. And again, thank you, Walayu, Emsit, Nogama. Thank you, everyone. We're all relations. We're all related. We're all connected. We're all family. And I thank you for being here and joining this teaching this evening. And I hope you've taken something from it that will kind of help you think about life in just a little bit different and greater way and with your connection. Okay. We'll see you all in the next live session. Okay. Have a good night, everyone.